Mandeville.
We're opened Mondays to Saturdays for your shopping pleasure.
Call us for your special order at telephone number 876-624-0555 and 876-961-0575.
Better Taste Bakery for all your baking needs for the entire.
Hi there, I'm Leon Nash, CEO of NRPMediaJA.com, and you are listening to NRPMediaJA.com. It is now 6:33. It's time now for the news. Good evening and welcome to our platforms, nrpmediaja.com. That's our radio platform. Also, Facebook and YouTube at NRP Media JA. It's Wednesday, February 14, 2024. I am Leon Nash with the NRP Evening News Roundup. It's Valentine's Day. Hope and trusting that you had a great day yourselves. The news today comes to you courtesy of NRP Radio, reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
NRP Media and Radio.
The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations. Now for the details of the news. The Jamaica Constabulary Force continues its robust social media campaign against crime with the launch of a new push for the Lenten season called 40 in 40. Echoing its 2018 What Are You Giving Up for Lent campaign, this new thrust throws out an even more dynamic challenge to citizens to help the police capture 40 wanted persons within 40 days. Strategically timed during Lent, Wednesday, February 14 to Thursday, March 28, 40 in 40 advances one element of the constabulary's crime reduction strategies through the well-received promulgation of wanted persons on its much-anticipated weekly Wanted Wednesdays feature on its social media platforms. According to the JCF, they remain committed to the prevention and reduction of serious, violent, and organized crimes by removing that which feeds these misdeeds, guns, gangs, and gunmen. Not only are the statement from the JCF says that not only are the JCF unrelenting in its pursuit of criminals and creating safer communities, but it is also having law-abiding citizens appreciate the importance of speaking out and standing up against criminality. Senior Superintendent of Police Stephanie Lindsay, head of the JCF's Corporate Communications Unit, says the component of combating crime through communication and engagement has reaped the success. So they thank the public for its embrace of the work and encourage them to continue sharing information confidentially and confidently through any of the reporting platforms 119 811 or via Crime Stop at 311. 2024 53-year-old, that should be, I beg pardon, that should be 53-year-old Sharon Dunbar, a housekeeper of White House, Westmoreland, died as a result of injuries that she sustained in a motor vehicle collision along the Salt Creek Bridge in Hanover on Tuesday. Reports from the Green Island Police are that about 4:23 p.m., Dunbar was a passenger in a Toyota Axio motor car heading to Negril from Green Island when the driver lost control of the vehicle and collided with a Toyota Corolla motor car that was heading in the opposite direction. The police were summoned and Dunbar was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Investigations continue. The opposition People's National Party is calling on the Andrew Holness-led government to provide details to the country of how it intends to finance the increase in the income tax threshold from 1.5 million that it has been since 2016 and up to $3 million. PNP president and the opposition leader Mark Golding, in a statement, says last September the opposition called for the increase in the threshold. However, he says at that time the government refused to heed the call. But he says that this year, in the campaign leading up to the local government elections, the Prime Minister announced that the government is considering the same movement. Mr. Golding, calling that a gimmick by the Prime Minister, says it was now time for the details of this upward movement to be revealed so that Jamaicans can appreciate the level to which any benefits lost could be restored.
Now, fine, but let's hear some details. You know, how much are they going to increase it to? How are they going to pay for it? It's very important because last time when they did it, they said it would cost no new taxes, but in fact, they had to impose 31 billion approximately of additional taxes per year. And they did so through indirect taxes on the backs of the people to pay for it. And by 2019, poverty had increased from 11 to over 16%, and inequality, as measured by the Gini coefficient, had also worsened in Jamaica.
That was PNP President and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. And Mr. Golding says that the explanation of the newly announced tax threshold movement is paramount at this time, as the Jamaican worker earning less than $29,000 per week will not benefit.
So we would like to hear how they plan to pay for it. It must not be on the backs of the Jamaican people, bearing in mind that anyone earning under $29,000 a week will not get a benefit from this increase. They certainly should not be called on to pay for it. When I said increase it to $3 million, I had in mind a way of funding it, of paying for it, which did not involve imposing any new taxes on the Jamaican people. But we'd like to hear how they plan to do it, what amount they plan to give, and so on, and when they plan to phase it in, so the people are not going to be hoodwinked again by this fresh gimmick of a tax promise.
That was PNP President and Opposition Leader Mark Golding. The police are calling on candidates in the February 26 local government elections and their supporters to exercise safety and order on the roads. Head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, Assistant Commissioner of Police Gary McKenzie, says concerns are rife about the protrusion of bodies from vehicles during motorcades, noting that this is dangerous and could result in serious injuries and fatalities. Speaking against the background of a recent situation in St. Thomas, where a party supporter lost a leg, Mr. McKenzie says it is very important that such campaigns, especially the fact that people are traveling, that they do so safely, reminded that personal responsibility is the order of the day while they are traveling on the different thoroughfares. ACP McKenzie is reminding the campaign organizers that they are required to inform the police before staging events and to adhere to the noise ordinance and event cutoff time. Jamaica will host the second Global Tourism Resilience Conference at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James starting on February 16. The Ministry of Tourism and the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center are collaborating to stage the two-day event. It will feature panel discussions, networking opportunities, presentations, and lively debates on matters relating to building resilience in tourism. Prime Minister Andrew Holness will address the conference on Saturday, February 17, with the inaugural Global Tourism Resilience Awards slated to be held later that evening. In his remarks during a media briefing at the Jamaica Tourist Board in New Kingston, Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett said the first day of the conference will be dedicated to the academic and other thought leadership discussions and discourses. Mr. Bartlett added that the second day will be the day dedicated to discussions on tourism resilience as set out by the United Nations and has been designated a Global Tourism Resilience Day. He added that Jamaica's Jamaica is particularly proud of this designation as it is because of the Prime Minister's speech to the UN in September of last year and pointed out that this was a tremendous feat and achievement for a small country like Jamaica. The police high command has expressed sadness at the death of Constable Renardo Spence, who died as a result of injuries he sustained in a motor vehicle collision on the Guttersmaid Road in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, yesterday. And that should be today. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, in expressing condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of the constable, says that he was assigned to the St. Catherine North Division. Reports are that about 1:18 a.m., Constable Spence was driving a Honda motorcycle towards Old Harbour when his vehicle hit a dog. This resulted in him losing control of the motorcycle and colliding with a Toyota Corolla Fielder. He was pronounced dead at hospital. The force's chaplaincy branch and the welfare department are providing support to the family members, friends, and colleagues of Constable Spence at this time. A joint police military operation led to the seizure of one firearm and several rounds of ammunition in 11 miles of Bullbane, St. Thomas this morning. Reports from the Morant Bay Police are that about 1 a.m., the team carried out a targeted raid at a party in the area, during which approximately 200 patrons were searched. 1.380 mm pistol with a magazine containing 11.380 cartridges, I beg your pardon, was found in a bucket in a section of the premises. No one was arrested in connection with that seizure. And in other news, police officers assigned to the St. Andrew North Division seized 57 rounds of ammunition in New Haven, St. Andrew on Tuesday, February 13. Reports from the Duhaney Park Police are that about 10:10 a.m., or that should be 10:10 p.m., a police team was on patrol in the area when a man was seen along a gully acting in a manner that aroused their suspicion. Upon seeing the police, the man ran and left a bag containing the ammunition. 55.380 cartridges, 1.40 cartridge, and 1.45 cartridge was seized. Investigations continue. You are listening to news on NRP Radio, your primary Christian source for news, sports, and the weather on nrpmediaja.com, reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations. Now let's move on to give you some sporting information brought to you by Hepburn's Glass. They are located at 13 Chisholm Avenue in Kingston, Jamaica.
Hepburn's Glass Supplies is the latest trend-setting supplier of glass and mirrors in the industry. We specialize in tinted and clear glasses, as well as mirrors for all your windows, doors, and closets at very competitive prices. To maximize your shopping experience, we stock 316 and 1/8 mirror thickness and 316 and quarter thickness in our entire stock of float glasses. We have in stock gloves, cutters, and suction cups at unbeatable prices. Our customer service is second to none, with same-day cutting for your specific measurements. Visit our office at 13 Chisholm Avenue, Kingston 13. Call us at 9080962 or email hepburn.glass@gmail.com. Hepburn's Glass, quality service is our priority.
Thank you for staying with us right here on our newscast inside of the NRP Evening News Roundup. We kick off now. Well, we really run off with athletics, and there's a celebration this evening for St. Mary High as they emerge the winners from the staging of the Eastern Championships at the National Stadium. The St. Mary High School emerged the winners with 684.4 points, followed by Port Antonio High on 303 points, and Oberlin High School on 270 points in the staging of the Eastern Championships, which was held at the National Stadium. Closely in fourth position was St. Mary Technical High on 192, and the Buff Bay High School on 154.5 points, rounding off the top five. The other schools with double digits scores were Robert Lightburn, Anota Bay, Arakabessa High, Karen Hall High, and Horace Clark High School. St. Mary High also dominated the female category with 444.5 points, while Teachfield High dominated in the male category with 265 points. On to international football. Manchester City resumed their Champions League title defense with a comfortable victory at FC Copenhagen in the first leg of their last 16 tie. After Kevin De Bruyne gave Pep Guardiola's side an early lead, it looked like they would go on to claim a big win as the hosts barely laid a glove on them. But Ederson gifted the ball straight to Copenhagen with a poor clearance, and Magnus Madsen took full advantage with a fantastic strike. Bernardo Silva put Manchester City ahead again just before halftime with a clever flick after a ball from De Bruyne deflected through to him. De Bruyne and Erling Haaland had further chances to add to the lead after the break, and although City were not quite at their attacking best, they ensured they left with a 2-goal cushion thanks to Phil Foden's late strike. On to let's take this other item now. Cricket. Ex-England opener Alex Hales has agreed a white ball contract extension with Nottinghamshire for the 2024 season. Hales has scored a club record of 4,687 T20 runs for Notts Outlaws and helped them lift the trophy in 2017 and 2020. He plays the format around the world and is the leading run scorer for Sydney Thunder in Australia's Big Bash competition. According to him, I'm particularly excited to see how we can kick on in 2024 with Joe Clark as captain, Hales told the Notts website. He says he'll be a great leader, and with him, we'll be well placed to press our case again for this year. 35-year-old Hales is currently playing for Khulna Tigers in the Bangladesh Premier League and hit 60 of 33 balls against Rangpur Riders on Tuesday. And finally, Captain Ben Stokes says his 100th cap is just a number as he prepares to become the 16th man to reach a century of tests for England. The 32-year-old Stokes will reach the milestone when he leads England in the third test against India in Rajkot tomorrow. In an interview, Stokes said, "Every test is just as important as the next one. Then there's the next one, which will be 101. It's just one more," Stokes added. "It's a sign of longevity, but 99, 100, or 101 doesn't make much difference," he further pointed out. All-rounder Stokes made his test debut against Australia in Adelaide in 2013, and he has gone on to have one of the most storied and successful careers in English cricketing history. That's sports in our NRP Evening News Roundup, brought to you by Hepburn's Glass. They are located at 13 Chisholm Avenue in Kingston. And that's the local news and sports. Stand by now for the latest international news, courtesy of the Voice of America. But let's tell you that we promise to bring you a good news story as often as we can. If you know of or are aware of any event or person whose good story we should highlight, please send this information to our email address at nationalreligiousmedia@gmail.com or call or WhatsApp 876 336 9928. Let's now head over and welcome in the Voice of America.
Ashley Thompson.
And I'm Dan Novak.
This is VOA News. I'm Joe Ramsey. A day after the U.S. Senate approved what the White House has called a critically needed $95 billion military aid package for Ukraine and Israel, the Republican leader of the House of Representatives seemed in no rush to move the measure forward. Reuters correspondent Zachary Goldman reports.
This bipartisan legislation will allow the United States to continue to support the people of Ukraine.
In a rare press conference on Wednesday, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told reporters that the bill will not just aid Ukrainians fighting off Russia's invasion and replenish Israel's air defense systems, but fund forces protecting commerce in the Red Sea against Houthi attacks, humanitarian aid in Gaza, and defense companies and submarine manufacturing in the United States.
Reuters correspondent Zachary Goldman. Israel vowed Wednesday to press on with an operation in war-torn Gaza's Rafah, even as calls mounted for it to hold off sending troops into the territory's overcrowded far southern city. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last week ordered the Israeli army to prepare for an incursion into Rafah, where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are trapped. Netanyahu has come under growing pressure to refrain from launching a large-scale ground assault on Rafah, but has insisted Hamas's battalions must be eliminated from the city. Families of Israelis held hostage by Hamas since October 7th urged the International Criminal Court on Wednesday to ensure justice for their loved ones and to help bring them home. Standing in the rain, families and activists waved Israeli flags and chanted, "Bring them home now."
Bring them home now. Bring them home now.
Hamas is a U.S. designated terrorist group. This is VOA News. Turkish security forces are detaining hundreds in the aftermath of an Islamic State attack on an Istanbul church. Authorities are warning of further attacks against Jews and Christians. Dorian Jones reports from Istanbul.
Heavily armed police are now protecting churches across Istanbul, day and night. It follows last month's deadly attack by two armed men on a Catholic church in Istanbul. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for the attack in a statement and warned that it is targeting Jews and Christians. Turkish security forces are engaged in a crackdown against the Islamic State group. A Russian and Tajik have been arrested for carrying out the attack, while over 100 other people have been detained nationwide, with Turkey bordering territory once held by the Islamist group, also known as ISIS. Analysts warn the threat remains considerable. Dorian Jones, VOA News.
And that is the latest international news there from the VOA. And we press on now to give you the latest from the National Meteorological Service of Jamaica, the latest weather report right here on this station. I'm sure you are waiting to hear what's happening in the weather. Is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be cloudy? What's going to be the situation? Let's stand by for that coming your way right here on the station in just one moment. And the National Meteorological Service of Jamaica is reporting that there is a significant feature of a ridge across Jamaica. The ridge is expected to remain across the island through to the weekend. Expect mainly sunny to partly cloudy conditions. In the 24-hour forecast, tonight, fair. Tomorrow morning, mainly sunny. Tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy. In terms of our 3-day forecast after tomorrow, Friday, mainly sunny in the morning, partly cloudy in the afternoon. On Saturday and Sunday, mainly sunny in the morning, partly cloudy and windy in the afternoon. In terms of other current regional weather features, there is a cold front across central Cuba. The minimum temperature expected for Kingston and Montego Bay tonight: for Kingston, 24 degrees Celsius. For Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius. That is the latest weather report and forecast right here on NRP Radio. And with that, we've come to the end of our newscast right here on NRP Radio for this evening. But before we go, let's give you an idea of some of the things that we read are presented for you this evening. Jamaica Constabulary Force continues its robust social media campaign against crime with the launch of a new push for the Lenten season called 40 in 40. 53-year-old Sharon Dunbar, a housekeeper of White House, Westmoreland, died as a result of injuries she sustained in a motor vehicle collision along the Salt Creek Bridge in Hanover yesterday. The opposition People's National Party calls on the government to provide details to the country of how it intends to finance the increase in the income tax threshold announced to be moved up from 1.5 million to $3 million. The police high command is at this time grieving for the loss of one of its constables in a motor vehicle collision. That's news right here on NRP Radio. We invite you to join us again 6:30 tomorrow morning when we'll have more for you from the NRP newsroom. My name is Leon Nash, wishing for you a great rest of your Wednesday evening. If there's something that you have not been able to go out and do yet, it is still you still have time to go out and celebrate your Valentine's Day. That is, if you celebrate Valentine's Day. From us here, all the best to all you lovers out there, and we do hope and trust that you'll join us again when we'll present the newscast. Have a good evening. It is now approaching, let's tell you the time. It's approaching 7 o'clock. As a matter of fact, the time signal is coming up just about now, right here on this station. Psalm 37, verse 8 says, "Don't get angry. Don't be upset. It only leads to trouble." This is NRP Media and Radio. The time is 7 o'clock. All right. Thank you for remaining with us right here on the platform. We're going to be closing out now the news presentation from on the pages of YouTube and Facebook Live. So if you're on those two platforms currently, we're going to be shifting back to the radio platform, which is at nrpmediaja.com. So I repeat, we're ending the stream now on YouTube and Facebook and ask you to go on over to our radio platform at nrpmediaja.com for continuing of our radio business right here on this station.